Mapping your audience is a really useful tool, but it can feel overwhelming. There's just so much information about the communities we want to serve. You could even disappear down a data rabbit hole. There is a solution, and that's to be clear before you start about what you want to know, to formulate the questions you want answers to. And here are just some of the questions mapping your audience could help you with. Let's look at the first one. Who's out there? We can explore who's out there, but how do we spot what's useful? Here's the Linen Hall Arts Centre in Mayo. The first thing we need to do is check what the drive times look like on the downloadable map for your organisation, which you'll find in the back booklet. We are really bad at estimating drive times, so the maps are very important. So back to the data, it shows us the percentage of the population in each of those drive time areas that are in each age group. So that's 0 to 10, 10 to 30, and 30 to 60. We're looking for things that stand out. But we have to be careful. The age bands aren't equal, so of course it looks as though there are more 25 to 44-year-olds. The age band is just so much wider than for, say, 0 to 4-year-olds. So we need to know what's normal. And the thing that's going to tell us that is the state average. If you hover your cursor over something that looks interesting, let's try that one, it'll show you the comparison with the state. So the blue bit's the Linen Hall. And you can see that there's a much bigger proportion of retired people in a 10 to 30-minute drive time than average. They're important people. They're very much potential audiences, participants, and even volunteers. But this is a rural area, so it could be 20% of a very small population. Is it worth it? Is it worth focusing resources on them? So there's a bit up here that will help. We've got 2 buttons here for counts, and I'm going to click on the combined catchment. So you can see down here, over 18,000 over 65s live in a 0 to 30-minute drive time. You can see we've got cumulative drive time, so it's 0 to 10, 0 to 30, 0 to 60. So yes, it is worth targeting them. Let's look at the next question. Is this good or bad? That is such a difficult question to answer if you're doing, say, a survey. So let's imagine a survey where you're looking at ethnicity and 85% of your respondents have said that they identify as white Irish. Let's look at the Crawford Art Gallery in Cork, because whether it's good or bad depends on the population in your area. You can see that whether it's good or bad depends on which drive time area you look at. So in urban areas within 10 minutes, 73%. And actually 85% is not that great compared to 73%. But in the more rural 10 to 30-minute drive time, it's 81%. So 85% doesn't look too bad. However, at Driocht in Blanchardstown, 85% would be really disappointing compared to the 10-minute drive time band figure of 60%. And actually even the 10 to 30-minute band at 70%. The next step, I guess, is to look at who's missing. And we do that by comparing the results for broad ethnic groups, broad as in the census, for example, Asian or Asian Irish. So we've got here 8.4% against a state average of 3.3%. So we would compare our survey result with those 2 figures. There are 12 themes that could help you identify who's missing: disability, health, economic status or economic group, foreign language speakers, and so on. But we need to add another layer to this. When we're thinking about our drive time catchments, we need to consider the impact of our neighbouring venues. We can compare maps from the map booklet. Here's Backstage at Longford, and Roscommon Arts Centre is just inside 30 minutes. So what's the impact of this overlap here? Probably not as big as you might think. So Performing Art Forum's audience insights showed that on average, 76% of ticket buyers travel for 30 minutes or less. Finally, once you've chosen the communities that you want to focus on, you could use mapping your audience to identify what the most effective communication methods are going to be. You might ask yourself questions like, how easily can they get meaning from English text? What language do they feel most comfortable with? Are they even online at all? Here are some examples. At Driocht, 29% of the population in the 10-minute drive time are speakers of a foreign language, mainly Polish, French, and Spanish. At Ongrinnen in Letterkenny, nearly 18% of people within the 10 to 30-minute drive time have no education beyond primary level, compared to nearly 10% statewide. So the team there think hard about the reading level of what they write. And Ballina Arts Centre have 18% of their population in the 10-minute drive time with no access to broadband at all. That's double the state average. So we've looked at just some of the questions that mapping your audience can help you with. I'm sure you'll have many more. The key, though, is to be clear about what you want to know. If you have any questions for which you can't find the answer, I'll try to point you in the right direction. Just drop me an email.